Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling. The world thought it already knew the story of Yu Meng Long. The tragedy, the loss, the endless debates about justice. But no one was prepared for this. A newly surfaced, unreleased video has opened a wound the world thought had healed, revealing the final 4 days of a man who refused to be broken. It's not just footage. It's a haunting testimony of endurance captured frame by frame. And for the first time, the truth speaks louder than the silence that tried to bury it. For years, Yu Meng Long's story was spoken of only in fragments. Court documents, social media rumors, half-truths whispered between fans and journalists. People thought they knew what happened, that the tragedy had already been fully revealed. But the discovery of an unreleased video changed everything. It was as if someone had reopened a sealed vault, one containing the last, raw moments of a life that the world had quietly mourned but never truly understood. The truth had not disappeared. It had been buried, deliberately hidden from the light. When the footage surfaced, it felt like a ghost had returned to speak. The camera did not lie. It showed the unfiltered, unedited reality of Yu Meng Long's final 4 days. There were no scripts, no cinematic filters, only the quiet, unbearable honesty of suffering. Viewers could see not the celebrity they had admired from afar, but a man stripped of all illusions, fighting for dignity in circumstances so cruel they seemed impossible to endure. The video revealed not just what had happened, but what had been done to him. The systematic breaking of a spirit, recorded in chilling precision, as if someone wanted to erase his humanity and leave behind only silence. For a long time that silence was maintained. The video was kept hidden, not out of mercy but out of fear. Those who possessed it must have known what it could ignite: rage, grief, and the undeniable demand for truth. They must have believed that by keeping it locked away, they could protect reputations, careers, or perhaps an entire system built on secrecy. But the truth has its own pulse. It waits. It finds cracks to escape through. Now, with its release, the world can no longer look away. The footage is not simply evidence. It is confession, testimony, and resurrection. It brings Yu Meng Long back into the public eye not as a victim, but as a witness to his own suffering. Every frame forces us to confront what humanity is capable of, both in cruelty and in courage. The hidden truth, once feared, now demands to be seen, felt, and remembered. The first day of the footage begins with an unsettling quiet, the kind of silence that feels heavier than sound itself. Yu Meng Long appears before the camera, not as the confident figure the public once knew, but as a man clearly disoriented and struggling to make sense of his surroundings. His eyes shift nervously as though searching for something, hope, familiarity, maybe even mercy, but there is none to be found. Yet within that trembling gaze, there lingers a faint determination, a fragile refusal to surrender to the fear that surrounds him. His movements are slow, his posture unsteady, but every gesture seems to carry the weight of a man who still believes that dignity can exist even in despair. And then comes the smile. It is small, barely there. And yet it pierces deeper than any scream could. It is the smile of someone who knows he is being watched, perhaps even judged, and still tries to appear strong for the sake of others. It is the moment where his humanity becomes undeniable, because only a human being, fully aware of his own suffering, could still try to offer comfort through courage. The pain etched across his face is not just physical. It is emotional, spiritual, a reflection of his attempt to cling to identity when everything else is being stripped away. Observers who later studied this segment said it revealed an extraordinary psychological strength. Most people faced with such circumstances would collapse inward, retreat into fear or rage. Yu Meng Long did neither. Instead, he chose stillness, as though the act of enduring itself was his only weapon. The camera captures this quiet rebellion, a man using silence as resistance, calmness as defiance. It is not the dramatic heroism of film, but something more profound, the instinct to remain human when everything around him insists he should not be. As the first day unfolds, the viewer begins to understand that this is not merely documentation of suffering, but the record of a battle fought within the soul. Every flicker of expression, every breath, becomes part of a language of endurance. By the end of that first day, Yu Meng Long is no longer simply a victim of cruelty. He is the embodiment of fragile, luminous strength. In that fragile smile, he reminds the world that even in darkness, the light of humanity can still survive. Day 2 begins with a heaviness that feels almost unbearable. The camera lens captures Yu Meng Long in a state of visible decline. His body weakened, his breathing shallow, his words fragmented and fragile. The once vibrant energy that audiences had come to associate with him now flickers like a dying flame. His hands tremble slightly, not from fear alone, but from exhaustion so profound that even the smallest movements seem to drain what remains of his strength. Yet, beneath the surface of this physical collapse, something far greater is unfolding. He is not giving in. He is fighting silently with a kind of courage that exists beyond reason. There comes a moment barely audible when he whispers, "I can endure this. I can." It is not a cry for help. It is not an illusion of hope. It is a vow, soft yet unyielding, spoken to himself and to anyone who would one day hear it. Those 5 words become the heartbeat of the entire recording. They cut through the static, through the fear, through the cruelty that surrounds him. It is in that whisper that Yu Meng Long transcends his suffering. His body may falter, but his will remains untouched. His quiet voice becomes a declaration of defiance, the kind that does not need to be shouted to be eternal. Around him the silence grows louder. The unseen figures behind the camera continue their cruel observation, but even they cannot erase the power of that whisper. It echoes not only through the room but through time itself. Viewers who have since heard it describe feeling as though he was speaking directly to them, urging them to hold on, to find strength in their own moments of despair. That whisper became more than a statement. It became a connection, a bridge between his pain and the world's empathy. By the end of that second day, the audience no longer sees just a man enduring torture. They see a soul refusing to break. The whisper that broke millions was not about agony but about survival, about the unshakable human capacity to resist even when there is nothing left to hold on to. In those few trembling words, Yu Meng Long gave the world a gift far greater than any performance. The raw, unfiltered truth that the human spirit, when tested, can endure the unendurable. By day 3, the footage grows almost unbearable to watch. He can barely stand, leaning against cold walls for support. Off-screen voices taunt him, testing his breaking point. But he never begs. He never collapses into surrender. Instead, there's a strange strength in his silence, a kind of rebellion that no cruelty could silence. Even as his body weakens, his presence fills the room. And that is the kind of power no captor can take away. Then comes the 4th day. Yu Meng Long's body is frail, his voice almost gone. He raises his head one final time, looks straight into the camera and whispers, "Don't forget me." 3 simple words. But they have become eternal. Across every language and culture, people have taken them as a vow, a promise that his courage, his pain, and his humanity will never fade from memory. When the footage leaked, the world erupted. Fans wept, anger surged, and social media turned into a storm of emotion. But amid the chaos, one truth emerged. Yu Meng Long's final act was not one of defeat. It was a declaration of strength. Specialists have since called the video psychological warfare at its cruelest. Yet his composure proved that the human spirit cannot be erased, no matter how brutal the attempt. He didn't die in silence. He spoke through his endurance. And his story continues to awaken millions. Today, his legacy lives far beyond the screen. Artists are painting his portrait. Writers are telling his story. Fans around the world are launching mental health campaigns in his honor, spreading a message he embodied till the very end. That pain can destroy the body but not the soul. Yu Meng Long's final 4 days have become more than a tragedy. They are a symbol of courage, remembrance, and rebirth. If this story moved you even just a little, don't let it fade into silence. Share his story. Keep his light alive. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe to Update X24H for more stories that uncover truth, courage, and the unbreakable human spirit. Thank you for watching, and remember,